Hello, Phyllis and AnnMarie. Welcome to another episode of the Veterans Helping Veterans TV series. And Phyllis is a Navy veteran, has been on my program before, and she is a tremendous artist. And the reason we decided to do this show today is to tell people about her wonderful project where she's going to be presenting her art at the Library of Congress in Washington, D.C. at the Jefferson Building. So that's pretty awesome. I'm very impressed with that. So, AnnMarie, you have this wonderful organization. I'd like for you to start off with how you came up with this idea, why it's important for veterans, what compelled you to start this organization, how do you present these artists, what are the goals, and why are you a veteran yourself?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, excellent. AnnMarie, tell me the branch of service that you served in and what you did. And
Thanks, Cheryl. I want to just say what a great presence to be with you and with Phyllis on this call, and the initiative that you've done is so valuable. And, my name is AnnMarie Halterman. I was in the Air Force. I went to the Air Force Academy. After graduating, I served in the military for 6.5 years. And I deployed a lot. I was a civil engineer, which means the responsibilities for the water, the base camps, bed downs on deployments, things like that, as well as home station, real property, and making sure that everyone's water turned on when they turn it on and they had power in their buildings. And so as an engineer, we had a big squadron always, and spent a lot of time deployed, which that really is where the rubber meets the road, in my opinion, when it comes to military. So in 2002, after my last deployment, I got out of the military and started doing consulting work along the same lines. Being an engineer, that kind of has me pretty focused and not very artistic. And thankfully, I came across the arts in about 2012 timeframe and got an opportunity to work for the National Endowment for the Arts as a consultant for the chairwoman and the DOD and the VA. And I helped create what was healing through the arts, but turned into creative forces. I was a strategic planner and implementer on that program for the NEA and the DOD. And that really, along with the art that I got involved with when I was trying to deal with issues and injuries that I had, that experience showed me how valuable community programs that have access to the arts, that is diverse in their offerings and accessible to anybody, to include family, friends, just a chance for people to get to do therapeutic arts, is much more available than getting art therapy. Art therapy is wonderful. That's medical. And it means that you have to have a doctor and a provider that can provide that relief for people.
So what are some of the issues that you decided or figured out how art could help you deal with?
That's a really great question. And really what art provides is it's another medium to communicate meaning beyond simple words. And I say simple word, but when you have an injury or you lose the ability that you once had, or you're transitioning into a new environment, like into civilian life, sometimes it's hard to explain what you're feeling and how you're feeling it. And art provides an opportunity to have a positive engagement with whoever you're making art with, or once you make your art, talking about the art, which then oftentimes helps establish that narrative that helps us move on, move forward, and not only move forward as an individual, but with our families and with the community. So it provides meaning. It helps provide meaning to our life. And that was, to me, something that I felt was so critically important, that when I finished implementing creative forces, I actually started doing Uniting Us and wanted to really make it happen. So like you, I'm a volunteer. My family and I started this nonprofit, and we are committed to Uniting Us to help inspire people and empower them to have the opportunity to be introduced to art, and for those that are already phenomenal artists like Phyllis, to have them be part of our community as well, because it takes all kinds, and the mentorship and the community that we build through this uniting process, it really starts to provide support for everybody. And so Phyllis has been doing, how many years, Phyllis? 30 years you've been doing therapeutic arts?
30 something years.
And man, do I learn from her every day.
Well,
And
how did you two ladies meet? Did you meet online first, or?
Let me have the honor to say this. First of all, I thought it's almost equivalent. Well, it is equivalent to winning the lottery when you meet great minds, and at the same time, you don't have to explain much, and it's just a magical connection of beyond words. That's the reason why even today I keep pinching myself and thanking God for people like you, Sheryl, and then Ann. And so to put the two of you together for this informative event and communication to let the veteran community know that there are empowerment organizations like Uniting Us, where I, as a veteran artist, that the only way I know how to help and support the veteran community is through my art, where my art encourage veterans who are dealing with PTSD and related symptoms to want to put down their subconscious barriers and to be able to speak and reach out. As VA therapists and doctors have informed me that art therapy is so important that it helps their patients to relax and be open-minded and be more receptive to treatment.
And so Phyllis and I came across each other a while ago, and we have some mutual veteran artist friends like Aaron Toole is one of our favorites. But really what happened when Phyllis and I met is it adds another dimension to the possibility of what a nonprofit can do. Our focus, we can't do everything and we don't want to. But what we want to do is help give veterans a voice and to display their experiences and their artwork, from crafters to professional artists, in a public manner where people can rally around the art, appreciate the arts, whether you're the active person making the art or passively viewing or attending an art or performance event, and then have the opportunity to exchange information. And it is so powerful enough that the Library of Congress called up this small nonprofit, Uniting Us, and said, hey, this over a year ago, and said, hey, we really want you to bring your program to the Library of Congress for a week.
Why did they contact you? What was it? I mean, because that's, it's the Library of Congress. I mean,
Right.
everything that's our nation's history, everything that we are known for since the beginning of our democracy is right there in the Library of Congress. So
right.
Why they chose you, using your words, a small nonprofit, and you're based in Virginia, correct?
Yes, ma'am, Northern Virginia. Why they chose us is really an interesting topic. So there are nonprofits, as you know, that do a lot of different things and great things for not only veterans, but others. But what Uniting Us does, and it's a unique tool set that we have, in part because of my background being a veteran and also the time at the NEA, the National Endowment for the Arts. But we are able to, through relationships and networks, get opportunities in public locations that you normally can't get in. And so we have professional artists that are not veterans that call us and say, can you help me? So we have agreements with Metropolitan Washington Airports Authority, for example, which is Dulles International Airport and Reagan National Airport. And we have hundreds of pieces of art at Dulles right now. And in the next couple of weeks, Phyllis's art will also be at National Airport, like it is at Dulles right now. And so we have a lot of opportunity for visibility. And the other thing that we do is we're very inclusive as a group. So the Library of Congress came to us and said, the art world, veteran space, and you have this community that's a nationwide network that is already exhibiting in professional galleries and at the Arlington National Cemetery Military Women's Memorial and in international and national public locations. So 50 million people, for example, see our artwork in a given year in person, and then online and through other programs. Of course, it's even bigger than that. And the Library of Congress is like, we recognize through programming that you're doing the value of art. And how do we talk about that? And my question to them was, how do you capture that in the history books, in the archives, about what veterans maybe did before they came in the service related to the arts, or maybe they did nothing. And through their military experience and connect with other veterans, like, for example, me and Phyllis, having that connection through the arts. and the ultimate goal of leading to healing through the arts and bringing people together rather than, and COVID was tough being so isolated, but some people choose isolation because of PTSD or other injuries that they sustained.
Yeah.
And so not only COVID, I think everyone can understand isolation because of COVID,
Yes.
but PTSD and the realities of combat injuries and other injuries sustained while in the military really can be isolating. And so that is why the Library of Congress came to Uniting Us, is because we have representation that's broad and diverse, and we have a platform through our events and performances. So we do, I don't know if you know this, Cheryl, we do not only visual art, but we also do performing arts and writers, quite extensive and exciting. Cheryl, you need to be an artist. You need to be one of our artists. We just had our first videographer and producer join Uniting Us about 6 months ago, and he's going to be at the Library of Congress with us.
As an artist, you know this to be true. We work like hell and we struggle to get people to even know that we exist, number
Yes,
one,
ma'am.
let alone showing them our work. Looking at your website last night and this morning so I could tell you what I thought about it, and I love this idea. I'm not necessarily social butterfly. I can be, but I'm not that type of outgoing person that goes into a room of strangers and starts shaking everybody's hand. I don't do that, but
Cheryl, and as you get to know me, Cheryl, you'll realize I am like you, but it's so important what we do that to open that door and be willing to talk and be out in public. It's stressful for me. I have a ton of anxiety doing it, but it is that important. What Uniting Us and people like Phyllis and Cheryl, your program, what you guys are doing, it's worth that personal discomfort.
Yes.
It's that important to me. I, volunteer full time. We have 4 kids. That's a big.
Oh, you have 4 kids? Is that what you said?
We do. Yeah.
Oh, well, that keeps you busy, I'm sure.
Wow.
And to take a couple of years and be 100% volunteer to prove a point, to give people the opportunity and to do what everyone said was impossible. I'm okay with a little bit of personal discomfort. And I want to be able to help people like you, Cheryl, who have invested 25 years, 30 years, like Phyllis, into this and help have a platform where people can feel it, not only see it, but feel it. That's what art does, right? And so that's what we do. We bring people together, whether it's physically in the same location, or connected because of shared interests. Let me make it easy for you.
Because I'd love to join your organization.
But I'm telling you that art needs to be accessible to everyone. And in order for that to happen, it needs to be free. Events need to be free for families to be able to come to. They need to be family friendly. And the other thing that I think is critically important is that we bring art to communities that don't have that culture already embedded in their community. And so we've done professional art galleries in the finest of fine places, but also in the neighborhoods that would never typically have an opportunity to see a comedian or a pianist perform at a level that is just phenomenal. And so everything that we do is free. Plus, we give a lot of veterans and family members the material that they need to be able to do their art. We have limited opportunities for that in some cases. We're a very large organization now, as far as the number that we support, but we're getting more and more interest from sponsors every day. And Phyllis is helping me with doing that. And so, not only is it free, but we also try to help offset the expenses when they're too much for someone to handle. Phyllis she goes out and she does these therapeutic events where she helps people take basic things that are around their house and turn them into these phenomenal, beautiful pieces of art. She teaches them. And she's out there doing it on her own. And you're right, funding is limited, but yet every day, you know where you can find Phyllis. And she is committed to it.
Right. The thing with Phyllis is I met her 5 or 6 years ago, more or less, and we were actually in LA County at the Bob Hope Patriotic Hall in downtown LA.
Right, Heroes Hall through Stephanie Stone.
But anyway, I was at the event and walking around this fair at the Bob Hope Patriotic Hall, and I saw her artwork and I just said, wow, this is really cool. And it just kind of stopped me in my tracks. And I was really drawn to the art when the pandemic happened. And because we follow each other on Facebook, I finally decided, well, if you can't get out of the house, choose the people that you want to interview. And so I kind of picked her as a subject but quite frankly, I just liked her art. And because she's kind of like me, we're just stubborn enough to know what we have, but can't quite figure out how to get more interest in what we are doing. And really what we're doing now is a perfect example of figuring out how to collaborate and make it better. And yes, I would be really happy to be a member of your group, but I would really like for you to, I know that you have done a lot of art therapy at the West LA VA, and I think it's important for people to understand that you had this relationship with them for quite a long time, and that, this isn't something that you started during the pandemic, that you actually were doing it long before the pandemic. And still, in spite of all of us living through a pandemic, she still found a way to kind of get out of the house, paint the park benches, tables and benches, even at the VA, just to show that somebody, you get tired of looking at the same old stuff, but somebody turns it into a piece of art. We noticed that. So, Phyllis, not to delay you any longer, but can you tell me the impact of what you think the impact is going to be of you presenting at the Library of Congress, and what it was like for you to present your work at WMSA? You did present your work at WMSA in March, is that right?
Yes.
So go ahead.
Well, basically, in a nutshell, I'm honored to be in the company of you and AnnMarie, because you have the foundation for which the message through art, visual beyond words, can be in the forefront to serve its purpose, is to empower the veteran community through art, and to also empower others outside the veteran community. Because as stress builds up through these terrible times, the recent shootings and so forth, and veterans having issues with their claims, or veterans having issues with PTSD, art is not an answer to that individual problem. Art is a solution to minimize the stress level, the anxiety, where if your mind is caught up in anxieties and so forth, you can't see the solution. You can't even think of a solution. So art calms the nerves, it relaxes the mind. You don't need alcohol, drugs, or over-medicated prescriptions. It's a very therapeutic, you could build it in your daily lives. I use therapeutic art, paint and sim, paint and snack at the West LA VA. And since the pandemic, it's pending when we can reopen, because I have over 300 veterans signing a petition for the VA to bring it back, and we may have it outdoors. But through uniting us at the Library of Congress, this is illustrating to those potential sponsors and corporations, please take art, the therapeutic art seriously. Please take my mission seriously. Please take uniting us seriously. Please take Helping Vets TV. We're trying to, and with their help, as a collaborative effort, we can cover the surfaces of dealing with minimizing therapeutic, the issues of problem, mental health, and so forth, and these other stressful anxieties, because everybody's working through issues. And all I can say is, you don't have to be an artist. You don't have to buy expensive art supplies. I show people how to make everyday things into wonderful works of art. And believe it or not, a person's psyche is so ignited by this powerful vibe of positivity with using art as a background empowerment. And to be at the Library of Congress and to have this opportunity blessed to me by AnnMarie, I am going to give an outstanding performance as far as everyday things and art on canvas. I'm going to wear my combat boots, which is my message of how I transitioned from the military to art. And so I transform my art boots my combat boots into works of art, because I believe in the philosophy of art, why not wear it? Art, why not be it? Art, why not incorporate it into your daily life? If it's only just for 15 minutes, a half hour, a little bit helps along the way every single day as a therapeutic means. So to sponsors out there, your dollars are well spent. And at the same time, why not invest back into the community of the veterans, civilians, and on an overall scale? And that's why I'm saying art is not a luxury. It's an essence. It's an essential. It's where visual beyond words make an impact.
Well, I think you expressed that very, very well. And I actually like something that you said earlier in the conversation about saying it's not a cure, but it really
Right.
is a method to adapt to cope with PTSD, MST,
Correct.
or other traumas that veterans
Yes.
get through their military service. So
Absolutely.
AnnMarie, would you like to speak to that?
So I'm talking about the healing art, Cheryl, and about the concept of major injuries like traumatic brain injury, PTSD, experience of military sexual trauma. They're hard topics to bring up and talk to people about. And so what the arts are able to do, what it's able to do is it provides entry into a place where many of us have locked those memories into in our mind, and do it as an individual, working through our art, and then actually starting to express that. And PTSD is not unique to military. People outside of the military live with it just as much as people in the military or veterans.
Yes.
And so we consider it a humanitarian bridge. Not everybody has access to medical care and pharmaceuticals, doctor's appointments, getting to and from doctor's appointments. There's all these roadblocks to getting the help you need. So therapeutic arts, what it does is it gives you an avenue that it's not in a medical clinic. You can do it at home. You can do it with other people. And ultimately, through the online capabilities now, we can have fabulous conversations like the one we're having right now and come up with better ways so we can help more people with either the same amount of resources or more. Oh my gosh, the potential is unlimited.
Yes, ma'am, it is.
And, time is our most valuable resource. And sometimes we forget about that, especially when we're so invested in what we believe is so important, like each of you as well as myself. But, I dare people to try therapeutic art if they think that they won't like it. I dare them to try it and see if what feels like 5 minutes ends up being an hour or two of pure, just mindful bliss. There's so much that can be done, and I'm so honored to be standing side by side with the two of you and many others as we work to make our community stronger, build wellness and healing, and generate a future that our children and future generations can follow and have more success.
In each of our stories, especially women veterans, come on, and there's 3 of us right here.
Yes.
Our stories need to be told. In the last couple of years, because of the pandemic, I have told more women veteran stories than the men's stories, because I think our stories are not being told enough.
So this is really a good point that you make. The Veterans History Project, which the Library of Congress has had that program congressionally mandated for 21 years. The representative amount of women veteran documented oral histories is far below the average of women in the military. Women have not had the opportunity or have not taken the opportunity to tell their stories. And so we have a program called Writing History with an R that is it's a year-long program. We're doing it a year at a time. You might possibly see us at the Library of Congress again next summer, where we are collecting meaningful and diverse veteran histories and putting them in the greatest, in my opinion, the greatest archive of history in the world, the Library of Congress.
Who started that? Do you know?
It was, there were 2 or 3 Congress members or senators that were the ones that, and were veterans, and they were capturing at a barbecue their stories. And that ended up then being a bill that then started the Veteran History Project back in, I think it was 2001. But I think it's on their website.
If we prove to you, who the sponsors that be, that we can do this, how do we get them to support us financially so we can grow our talent and not always be worried, how do we, not necessarily my bills to live because I have a pension, but how do we get funding to get the art done in a way to where VHV TV, this should be a national, I mean, are you kidding me?
Yeah.
This should be a national series. And the idea
should
here
be.
is to have it as an open format with UC Riverside. So the students can interview the student veterans on campus and get their stories told and uploaded to the YouTube channel. When I first met Phyllis a while back, I was very impressed with her art. But even more so when she told me some of the stories of the veterans that she has come into contact with at the West LA VA that actually were transformed because of her encouragement of saying, yes, you can do this. You don't have to be Picasso to be an artist. Create something that's creative, even if it's just a coffee mug. Do something, draw.
If I may inject and mention that what was a profounding moment in my first year of art therapy session was when at 2:42 a.m., well after the 3-hour therapeutic session over, because I give my cell number to fellow veterans, and one veteran who didn't want to give her name, she just said, trust me when I say, when you told me to start doodling and drawing, I did. Because at first I thought of taking a final exit. And if it wasn't for me and it wasn't for you of being at your therapeutic session, I wouldn't be here. So I have various stories like that from veterans conveying to me after therapeutic, and where doctors from the VA had said, I can't say my patient's name, but I really stress that you make sure that you tell the 6th floor corporate VA to keep your therapeutic arts going. That's how extensive and important it is. Like I keep telling people, art is not a lofty or luxury thing. It does save lives. I hope it doesn't sound like a cheesy cliche, but I mean, I live it from the responses I get. Not just, oh, I did this, I love it. Or, I'm feeling better now, and I'm getting better ideas instead of thinking about swallowing down a Jack Daniels and so forth.
I think art has the ability to change someone's perspective in a way to where they're not in that state of self-pity, but they're more willing to take chances and explore in a way they did not do before.
The point of it is once your mind is embraced in a therapeutic realm, you are more receptive to solutions instead of being in a black hole of dismalness. And so therefore, once a positive vibes, you're open to avenues. And that's what art is all about. Art is empowering. And that's what my mission is all about,